In other news, Donald Trump has signed an executive order on drones, flying cars, and supersonics, saying that the homegrown drone innovation has been grounded and that he wants to unlock the building of supersonic flight in the United States, drones, and flying cars. It's worth remembering that one of the reasons why the Concorde supersonic flights were stopped, which supersonic is just greater than, Mach 1, right? So you have the sound barrier issues, which maybe aren't that big of a deal or unsolvable. You could solve those issues, but supersonic flight is also incredibly expensive for corporations to make a profit on, which is one of the reasons why you saw the Concorde program ended. People don't have an interest in paying for what would be maybe a $2,000 round trip ticket to Europe. They don't have interest in paying $10,000 for that unless they're super wealthy, which is why the Concorde really catered to wealthier individuals in their supersonic flights, and it just wasn't really a commercially viable product, especially in the face of high repair costs and then also greater safety concerns given the potential for when things go wrong, they go catastrophically wrong faster, as what happened with the shrapnel that ended up busting one of the fuel tanks on the Concorde during takeoff after a plane taking off before it lost, a piece of or a component of the plane itself. I think it was part of a cowling or something like that, an engine cowling, and that ended up rupturing a fuel tank on the Concorde, which ended up leading to fire and loss of control and essentially the end of the Concorde program. But there is this frustration that, like, why don't we have faster planes? And I think, Donald Trump is leaning into that. But this idea about an executive order around flying cars, I think it's just, this must be like legalese or like legal commentary, because they're not really talking about flying cars. What they're talking about are eVTOLs. So, shout out to, as we mentioned earlier, EHang, Eve, the Embraer partnership, Archer, Joby, right? These are our electric vehicle takeoff and landing companies. I actually did a video on these 2 days ago. If you haven't seen the video, go on the YouTube channel or just go on YouTube, type in Meet Kevin, Joby Aviation. It should come up. But these are basically little transport taxis that are designed to helicopter you around, essentially, to short distance locations presently. We don't actually believe that these vehicles are going to get you any more than about a 20 or 30 minute distance right now, which could be great for like crossing the water, like going from like Hudson the Hampton to JFK airport, right? Or from Manhattan to JFK or LaGuardia, right? These could be opportunities to get past traffic faster. And they're all pretty much the same in that they're vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. They're battery operated, so electric. The idea is you want to extend range on these. You want to get more. You want to make sure they're safe, more autonomy. They're noisy upon landing and upon takeoff, so you have to keep that in mind. You need aerial routes for them. The CEO of, I think it's Beta, if I remember correctly, Beta Industries does eVTOLs as well. He was saying on an interview that he expects you're going to have these 20 minute rides, very popular by 2030, maybe East Coast flights by 2035, and maybe across the United States flights by 2040. I think that time frame is very optimistic because it's so heavily reliant on battery technology. You can't really add heavier batteries to these because the functional load of these aircraft is already very, very limited. It's important to know it's actually relatively easy to overload an aircraft. A lot of people don't think about that. But when I flew in my training days, Cirrus, single prop plane, our functional load on that plane with max fuel was usually about 2 passengers. So if I wanted to take 4 passengers and no bags, I would actually have to drain fuel, which I've done before, if I was at max fuel, and it's a massive pain in the ass. Don't encourage it. Don't overfuel. But you also don't want to take off overweight. That's how accidents happen. The functional weight, obviously, of something like a jet is substantially more capable. I could fill this puppy up with full fuel, and without bags, I could probably get, it depends on the weight of the people. If I've got like children, I could probably get a full load of 11 people on a business jet like this. Assuming no bags, full fuel, probably. But it's possible that if we've got a bunch of baggage as well, that we might have to start kicking people out, basically. So that kind of just shows you some of the difference between, let's say, like a business jet, which could carry 11 people and full fuel, and, you know, a single prop plane that could go full fuel and 2 people. And then you have the same problems, really, with these eVTOLs, is that you're really talking about carrying a briefcase and maybe 3 passengers, maybe 4 passengers, in addition to 1 pilot. With 1 pilot, you don't get the redundancy of 2. But that's okay. The technology is evolving and expanding, and people are pretty excited about it. You know, Eve actually has some really cool demonstrations, which we've looked at before. Eve, Air Mobility, the partnership with Embraer, the Brazilian manufacturer, which also does the Phenoms. They show these sort of courses between different locations that you could sort of take, and they compare it to driving. As I talked about in my other analysis video, like, you have to remember, like, it takes time to get to the airport, to check in, to get into the flight pattern, to take off, to land. You've got a land pattern. So air travel is usually never just like a straight over. Maybe it will be with eVTOLs, but usually you have approaches that you have to fly, and things take a little longer, certainly with a fixed-wing aircraft. That said, you know, I think when we hear this flying car executive order, you know, it's going to raise some eyebrows, and like, what does this even mean? I think really it's motivation to try to bring some more drone manufacturing to America as well, domestic drone production. So it's not just eVTOLs, but also trying to encourage departments in the United States to enable competition to, like, frankly, DJI drones or other drone manufacturers that are, frankly, all Chinese. Really, if you think about it, this executive order is just kind of another, I hate to say it, but like slap at China. It's like, all of our drones are Chinese. Let's try to beat them up over there too, because we don't have domestic drone production. Even Elon Musk has sort of quote tweeted people talking about how bad it is that we don't have domestic drone production, and that in future wars, the country that doesn't have its own drone production would end up losing. Kind of scary to think about that, given that, you know, we don't really have good domestic drone production. Somewhat shocking, but also makes sense because the Chinese drones have just been so good, frankly high quality, and they're manufactured at a relatively low cost. This is why you see not only China but also Iran manufacturing drones for countries in like Russia. So you have some real geopolitical problems with that. So very interesting. Somebody says, can you talk about Rocket? I'm about to go all in. Rocket Mortgage, if you hit recession, Rocket Mortgage is going to go down lower. But the benefit is Rocket Mortgage will absolutely win hugely, in my opinion, when rates start coming up. Or sorry, rates start going down and bonds start rising is what I meant to say. That's when Rocket Mortgage is a winner. In fact, you probably want to look at like United Wholesale Mortgage Company, Rocket Mortgage, who's buying Mr. Cooper and Redfin, which is like a monopoly that they're creating. You could probably also look at, what's the other one? Lending, I mean, not Lending Tree, because they're more of a referral thing. There's some other ones you could look at as well, but mortgage companies become interesting when rates fall. And if they fall because of a recession, you kind of wait for the pain in the market anyway. But owning them now is like owning Enphase. You know, you're owning it, hoping rates come down in the future, and that you actually start cycling up. Rocket Mortgage is going up today because, CPI came in low, which is like Loan Depot. Thank you. Jeez, Lord. How did I forget Loan Depot? This like CPI coming in low, this is no surprise. So if it wants to start rising because of that, that's fine. Again, like for me, call me in September and let me know where the labor market is, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know where my head is. Right now, it's just house hack. But then again, like when you're the CEO of a company, I think it's kind of hard to blame me that my mind is just like house hack, house hack, house hack, house hack, house hack, house hack. Sorry for pitching it all the time. I just think, what we're doing in our 5% bond offering with all the upside in the stock is just a great win for investors, in my opinion, because I think it gives you a chance to diversify. You get paid on a monthly basis, so you get, your money deposited to you on a monthly basis. On top of that, you get the upside in the stock, whatever it is once we IPO, and you get downside protection during the time that you're a bondholder, which is great because it's still, an earlier stage company. I think the valuation is very reasonable. I just invested $5 million in this same round. And you can learn more about it at househack.com. Obviously, there's risk with every investment. Read the disclosures and the paperwork and stuff. And if you have questions, email us at ir@househack.com. But anyway, that's my take. If you don't yet, by the way, have the Meet Kevin app, make sure you get the Meet Kevin app because you're definitely going to miss out on notifications or breakdowns on videos of what's going on, like the Iran drama or whatever. But as always, I appreciate you being here. And I hope you enjoyed today's live stream. I'm going to go now. Hey, quick reminder, if you want to earn a 5% yield plus all of the upside in my real estate startup, we are offering a non-accredited investor round where we will pay you a 5% yield plus you get all of the upside in the stock when your stock converts in the future. It gives you an opportunity to diversify away from rich stock market valuations, diversify away from most tariff risk, diversify away from the craziness of the treasuries market, especially with these Moody's downgrades. You diversify into fixer-upper real estate, which is what I believe I do best. This is my baby. I call it my little Berkshire Hathaway. Now, maybe I'm biased, but I've got over $5 million of my own money invested into this business, and I'm so excited for what I think we're going to be able to do with this business over not just the next years, but the next decades. So if you want to invest in my real estate startup, go to househack.com and know that I will do everything for this business in my power to make sure we can do the absolute best that we can. Make sure to read the solicitations and disclosures on the HouseHack website because there is risk with every investment.